add this to the list of things that I need to repair. There is a bird nesting in that. So every time you walk into the garage, a bird comes swooping down and it's like right by your face. And it has scared the bejesus out of me a few times. All right, friends, we're back at it. Saturday afternoon, we are going to be putting the finishing touches on the chicken coop today. We bought a piece of plywood. I've cut it with the saw so that it'll sit nicely on top of the frame that I built from the recycled timber from an old fencing post. And then once we have that, we'll put a piece of corrugated iron roofing slat on top so that it's nice and weatherproof, and then we'll attach it to some hinges that I bought. So let's go fix the chicken coop.
Got a little creature in here. She's put herself, I was just holding her like here and she
climbed in there. Is this bring a duck to work day?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm for it.
It's like she's not even here.
I'm trying to be productive over here, getting things done, and then Carrie keeps distracting me with very, very cute things. Look at that. Let's move this over. Moment of truth. You're too short. Shit. So we have a problem. We have a problem, folks.
We have a little bit of a problem, my friends.
About 10 centimeters of a problem, to be exact. I came out here and measured this, and then I went back over there, and you know what I did? What I didn't do? I didn't write down the measurements. I stored them in my brain. And brains are fallible things. Sometimes we believe we know things, and we don't. I'm learning that very often over here.
Wilson's here to judge you.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Wilson? He's like, it's pretty decent, but you're about 10 centimeters short. So, the good thing is, nothing is like super set in stone. So I'm just gonna have to do a bit more drill work and a bit more cutting. I'm gonna recut the lengthwise ones, because then this will work nicely. It's just too short.
I'm impressed that you were like...
That I almost did it.
You almost did it.
You know, it's great having such a supportive wife. I'm impressed that you almost did it, honey. Thank you.
I am.
I know. Well, we're gonna have to fix it so that we actually do it. Yeah, Wilson. All right, well, that was a pain in the ass. I'll be serious with y'all. Somehow I drastically mismeasured these. The new measurements are good. The problem is it's not perfect because I'm reusing old timber. So one of the pieces is kind of warped, which is making it not like a super good seal. This will have some hooks, like a bungee hook that will hook onto here over to there, and that will help keep this down. This process is one of learning through failure. You know, I'm learning through failure right now. I didn't even center this thing. So like one side is longer than the other. So we're gonna have to back out all those screws. Try again. Note to self, always make sure both batteries are charged before the weekend. So in other news, in bedroom number 3, we have been fixing the walls. We have some large kind of cracks that had to be cut out and had to be filled in. And so now it's time to just sand it all. And then we'll just do a quick wash down of the walls, and then hopefully we can get a coat of primer on here later today. And maybe, if we're lucky, even a coat of paint. Well, it has been. It's been a little journey in here, but we're making some serious progress. This is the third bedroom. It's now done. It's complete. It's empty. Obviously the floors come next, but it feels really good to have all 3 bedrooms painted. And it's just a whole new space in here. Carrie said it just feels like it's ours now, and it's a really good feeling.
It feels so good in here. What I love about this room, it has 2 windows, which is really cool. This is the room that we were debating making the primary bedroom. And you know, things could still change, but there's a really great closet space in the second bedroom, what we're calling the second bedroom, and what is now being used as our primary. Long story short, we're still undecided. This is likely going to be a guest room / creative space. So when it's not being used as a guest bedroom, it will be a space where we maybe make music or you know, edit, and just kind of like a creative space in here. Reading, kind of whatever you want, because the view on both sides is just so gorgeous out of these windows.
Hello friends, welcome back. It has been an eventful couple of days, to say the least. As you can see, the backyard has been mowed, and I've done a lot of strenuous things in my life. I've run a marathon, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and then I mowed this backyard, which hadn't been mowed in months. Certain parts of it, I'd probably say maybe 6 months plus. Could have been a year. It took me the better part of a day and a half. Oh my gosh, I'm crying.
You've been out here all day.
I'm tracking on my Apple Watch. I've been out here for over 5 hours, and I split it up into 2 different activities. This one says that I've burned 1,200 calories. I'll say this, I've ran a marathon before, and I was just thinking, I think that this is actually harder to do. I've had the lawnmower at full capacity, and I have to do like 3 mows just to get it down. The first one, you have to be like doing a wheelie, just barely touching it, just to cut it down to like maybe 6 inches. Then you do a second time like that. Then you pull it back and you can actually mow it. But we have 3 compost bins that are made out of shipping crates. And
It's a 3-tier compost.
Yeah, I filled all 3 of them. And we're not done yet.
No.
I just don't get it. And this is just the yard.
But like, so close. So close, and I don't think we'll ever wait 2 months.
Ever again.
I've
learned my lesson. Wilson is gonna be, I think this is just too much grass for him. Like, let's be real. It's too gnarly, Blanca, you need to start eating grass, bro. Okay, good.
He looks like he just went
Keep
for
it up. Let's go. We're not even done, but we just had to call it. We needed to make a good enough amount of headway without derailing all the rest of the things that are on the plate. Let me show you what we did. We cleared out this area, which was slightly traumatic, wasn't it? Was it a little traumatic?
It was a little traumatic because Alex came in with the weed whacker and just had a heyday on some of our lovely flowers that were not weeds. And yes, I'd say he got rid of the majority of the weeds, which is great. but also he got rid of it, like 60% of
The majority of the flowers
Yeah.
too. It was, let's just say after, I don't know, 14, 16 hours of lawn mowing and weed whacking, that being the last little part, I might have had the crazy eyes.
He was just like going for it.
Swinging.
And then I ran over to him because he can't hear anything. And I'm like, hey, stop. I whacked him.
Because I have ear protection on.
I whacked him with my glove and I was like, what are you doing? Was a little bit traumatic, but we feel good because, to be honest, we wanted to plant our own flowers in this garden bed at some point anyways. I was sad for the flowers that already existed in this garden bed.
R.I.P. R.I.C. Rest in compost.
But yeah, so we are replanting some flowers that we want in this garden bed, which is nice. This is kind of the first garden bed when you pull up and you kind of look out. It's the first place you see, so we want to make it colorful. And
yeah, and we're adding a lot more new colors too. We have some pinks and some reds.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just the yellow and the blue, and then those caca-beaks over there. But we're putting some lavender in, and some roses and some other cool plants too. So that's what we're doing here. We have another little project over on the other side of the garden where we bought an awning, like an entryway, and that's going to get painted. An archway for the garden. Let's go over. I'll show you what we're working with. We bought this, which is really cool. We're going to paint it white, and we're also going to repaint this fence. And then once that's done, we're going to plant grapes, and we'll have grapevines climbing up either side of the archway so that when you walk into the garden, it's going to look real nice. One day, we'll get around to pressure washing those and maybe even painting that one so that the colors match, but that's down the road. You may be wondering why that's there, because the range that was included in the house broke, so it short-circuited and it's fried. So we had to buy a new one. We bought it used, got it for about $250, and an electrician's coming on Friday to manage the install, because when the electrician came and took a look at the house for the bathroom renovation, we have very old wiring in this house. It all needs to be redone. It's a big job. I'm not an electrician. I know when to call it. I'm calling it there, and they'll come in and fix that later this week. So that's also on the...
Can you tell them about the plumbing?
Oh no.
So while Alex was having his weed whacking exciting journey of just, we're almost done, I'm just gonna go for it.
Euphoric
Weed whacking journey, he had a little pop onto
a little accident.
A little water pipe.
So back into this room. This room from earlier, we know this was once upon a time full of stuff that went to the scrapyard. So the weed whacker did some damage. There's a metal one, and this guy, both of these are in a bad spot. So I don't know if you've seen the plumbing disaster video, but our good friend Vinny the Legend is coming back. He should be here in a couple of hours, and we're gonna see what we can do to fix those, because we've turned the water off because that was spraying. Not a big spray, but a powerful little spray. Yay! So that's happening. And we're gonna plant these flowers, then we'll get inside and we'll show you what's happening in there with the paint.
We've moved into the living room with the painting, which is very exciting. This week has been very good, even though there's been a lot of hiccups along the way, because we have made progress. And I think like that's the big, look at that beautiful bee.
That wasn't a fart, it was my gumboot, I swear.
There is not really a destination or an ending point here. There's never going to be a moment where we're like, oh, we're done. There's so much to do. It's part of the process. That's why we wanted a fixer-upper. There are going to be mistakes along the way. This is our first time owning a home. And not only do we own a home, we own some land. And so figuring out how to care for it, we learned from the pipe incident. Now we'll double check when we're going in with a weed whacker. There's just so much to do, and if we, you know, get overwhelmed with the to-dos, then what's the point of all this? It's in the journey. It's in the journey.
So let's plant some flowers.
Let's plant some flowers.
So we still have a duck, and it loves worms. So any worms we find while we're digging up the rose garden go in this little jar for later. So in other news, we have successfully gotten the Starlink internet, satellite internet, mounted on the roof. We mounted it in the place where the old satellite television was. We are not planning on getting satellite TV. We're probably not even going to get a TV. At this point, I've lived the last year of my life without a television, and to be honest, not really missing it. So that we hired a local professional to do, because there were a lot of cables involved, and I just was not feeling confident enough in my ability to successfully do it without causing more problems than I would be solving. And I guess what I'm learning in this whole process is that it's really important to kind of push yourself to accomplish things that you're not comfortable doing, but at the same time knowing when you're just out of your depth. And with electrical and with plumbing, I'm definitely out of my my depth there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go back to our favorite store, the place that sells bulk compost and mulch. We're gonna get a trailer load of mulch to fill this all out, our new little flower bed, which, if I do say so myself, is looking very pretty and very colorful. Even though I had a kind of an aggressive line trimming weed whack in there, I think it's gonna turn out for the better. So we're gonna get a load of mulch so we can just fill this all in. And while we're at it, we're gonna use the trailer that they lend you to load up all of the junk from the satellite internet install. So we have some trash. We need to do a load at the dump. We have all this stuff that I pulled out when I cleared that room out. So we're gonna get that into the trailer, and we're gonna take our trash down there as well. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. We need to fill out the flower bed with mulch, and we're gonna use the trailer while we have it to get rid of some trash around the property. Yes, we need to buy a trailer, I know, but they're like $2,000 for a good one, and we're just waiting for the right time to make that purchase. Okay, so we've put down a layer of weed mat, and then we're just gonna cover this up with mulch, and then our little garden bed, our little flower bed, should be in a much better position. Mulch is down. Flower bed looks nice. One might say better than it did before we had the flower massacre of the morning. But we are doing another load of trash. Since we have the trailer, we're gonna load it up, we're gonna take it to the dump, and we're gonna get rid of all this leftover irrigation stuff that's all broken and has been out in the paddock for a long time. So we have the old roof from the chicken coop, old wiring from the old satellite. We'll go and get it out of here, and it's one less thing to worry about. So feels good. Always feels good to get junk out of the way.
You got it. Good guy. Good job. Good job. No more. You want more? What was that whole shenanigan at the end there? Sometimes he like coughs it out a little bit. He's so good. Yes, he like snuggles after milk. Yes, yes.
Good morning, Ducky. You want to come outside? Come on, let's go. Good. Good, Duck. Let's go. This way. Come on. Big Duck now. Like a morning and evening routine to take the duck into the garden and kind of clear out the little cracks in between wood to get at woodworms or roly-polies, as they're called in the States. And this duck loves roly-polies. Also, there we go, there's some right there. Good. There we go. And then also all of the rocks that kind of line the edge of the garden. There's always either slugs or snails or leeches or wood lice or worms sometimes under there. So I just kind of like walk around. The duckling follows me. I flip some rocks and the duck gets in there and cleans it out. Mornings here are always really nice, very calm, lots of different bird song, and it's just a really nice, relaxing way to wake up. But usually, after about a half an hour, coffee, taking the duck out, everybody doing their kind of morning rituals, then things kind of speed up around here, and it's either to work on the property or in the house. And the last few days have been outside working on the yard, but it's It's supposed to rain a little bit later today. We've had a good stretch of sunshine, so it was hard to, convince yourself to be inside working on the house, but it's supposed to rain today, tomorrow, the next day. Our friend Charles is coming to visit, and we'd like to have the living room in a better place. So I'm gonna do what I can today, as well as trying to get this video edited and up for all of you out there, because I've really been enjoying staying consistent and publishing every weekend, and it's just really nice to know that so many of you out there appreciate that and that you're here on this journey with us. So I am gonna try to make some headway painting today, and I'll take you inside when we do that. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the duck having its breakfast. These are our compost bays. These were all empty when we moved in, and there were a lot of weeds growing. So I lined the bottoms and the back with cardboard to help kind of kill off some of the weed. And then this is all of the grass clippings, most of the grass clippings from mowing 6 months of growth in that backyard. This is a first. We have a little pond down here in the bottom paddock, and this duck has never been in a pond. So we'll see how it goes. We didn't, buy this duck. We didn't envision having this duck. The goal has always been to just help it grow up and put it to a point where it's able to go back into the natural world and take care of itself. And so I guess, this is the first step, is bringing it down to the pond and letting it do its thing and going from there. They say, the internet says that anywhere from like 6 to 9 weeks you can release a duckling back into the wild. And I want to say we've had this duckling for at least 3 weeks now, probably coming up to about 3, maybe 4 weeks. And I think it was about a week old when we found it, so that's putting it at 4 to 5 weeks. So maybe in about 2 more weeks we'll let this thing go and be a duck again. We do have the chicken coop, which we have fixed up, and they say that you can put a duckling in there, and maybe we'll do that, but I think we're kind of both on the same page, Carrie and I, that we just let it go and do its thing. Oh, it's been a long time now, almost 2 months, working on this property and doing tasks to completion and then pivoting and doing something that's in the exact opposite realm of responsibility. Working inside and then going outside and coming back in and then going back out. Building the garden and, painting the rooms, and it's almost like a form of just huge oscillations, mood swings almost, of following where my creativity and where my motivation is taking me. And in many ways, it's been this journey of letting go, but also just following the inspiration. And I'm finding that, progress, I guess, I don't know, renovating a house, renovating my first home, it's teaching me a lot. It's almost like a metaphor for life in a way, because these renovations, fixing broken things, building them back to the best of my ability, it is kind of a metaphor for life in a way. And in a way, there is like this pain and pleasure of slow, meaningful progress. And renovating this house, fixing things in this sidewinding way has kind of been this living metaphor for life, right? For working on ourselves. Because it's never linear, it's never a straight line. It's always something here and then something over there, and then later down the road you are able to look back with hindsight and see that path through the middle. But when you're living it, it's never like that. And I guess that's kind of the thing with progress. It's hard to see in the moment, but when you look back with hindsight, it's abundantly clear. And I'm starting to have moments like that here in the house where I'm looking back on the last 2 months of being in this property. I'm looking at Wilson, who's like now almost fully grown and almost fully weaned, living outside in the paddock. He went from this tiny little orphaned lamb that when we got him was like covered in shit and almost dead. And, you know, his twin brother did die, but now Wilson's out there healthy and happy. And this duckling that wandered into our world, who's all getting close to growing up now and nearing the moment of reintroduction into the wild. And then at the same time, looking at the 3 bedrooms, which were in varying states of, I don't want to say disrepair, but definitely needed a lot of love. And those rooms are painted and all sealed and trimmed, and the ceilings have been fixed. And now I'm in the final room and I'm looking back and I'm looking in this room and there are, you know, there's putty everywhere. There are plastered holes everywhere and these huge cuts through the drywall to fix these cracks. I guess we wear our face forward into the world, but like behind the scenes, there are all these putty marks, right? And there's all these plasters and all of this work that we've done to fix the broken things inside of us to make a stronger, better version of ourselves. And I guess that what I'm trying to get at is this process of renovating the house is a metaphor of renovating myself in a way, like fixing the broken things and building something that I can be proud of and working on creating the best version of myself, but also a place that is peaceful and harmonious and calm, and a place where both my wife and my family can come and feel a sense of peace and feel, you know, loved and welcome. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older. Maybe, you know, I'm 33 and a half and starting to gain some hindsight perspective on life. I feel like the last decade, 12 years of my life have been real full on. Ever since I graduated university, it was living abroad in Spain and traveling around and backpacking and couch surfing in Europe, and then making videos and getting better and working harder and failing and learning from failure and winning a contest. And all of the things that have happened in my life have all kind of accumulated now and come together in a way kind of like the renovations that are a little bit here and then a little bit there. And now I'm looking backwards and seeing the hindsight and seeing the path that when I was living it wasn't really all that clear, but now that I've lived it, I can look back and see, oh, there was a path there. And the connecting thread to it all was following that inspiration, following the motivation, the thing that's calling to you, and moving forward in that direction. And it's kind of like having a compass, but not having any north, south, east, west, just having a compass with an arrow. And wherever you are in life, you're just following that compass. And that compass is your inspiration, it's your intuition. And you follow it even though you don't know where it's leading you. But then, you know, that is life. It's that trust in your intuition and following that road wherever it may lead. And I think maybe, you know, there's a lot of pain and suffering in this world, and I'm not trying to detract from that at all. And everybody's life is unique and different. But I think a lot of the pain and suffering in this world nowadays, especially the feelings of like, what am I doing with my life, comes from the fact that maybe we're not following the compass of our intuition. Maybe we've become distracted and we're lost in following these other waypoints that society tells us we should be interested in. A million different things in modern society that can distract us from following our compass bearing of intuition. But I don't know, I think that, you know, from my experiences and also a lot of the people that I've met who are successful and have found happiness, I think the main connecting factor is almost like horse blinds. All they're doing is following that compass of intuition. To the detraction of everything else in their life, they're just following that compass bearing. And they're comfortable with the uncertainty of not knowing where it's going to lead. I mean, 5 years ago, if you had told me that I would be living in the middle of the countryside in New Zealand with my wife and my dog, and I don't know if I would have believed it. But now that I'm here, it feels like I've been working towards this moment for like my whole life. And it's weird how that works. And I would love to hear from you out there if you have experienced anything or if these words are resonating with you. You know, share your stories down there in the comments. And if you're watching this, you know, feel free to read those. There's nothing I love more in this process of creating and sharing than reading your comments, but then also seeing you as viewers connecting in the comment section and sharing and speaking to each other and sharing experiences and perspectives. I love that. I think that that's the beautiful thing. That is the promise, the fundamental, foundational promise of social media was connection. But, you know, that was the whole promise of social media. Now, whether or not social media is living up to that promise is arguable. The world of social media has changed so much. I kind of feel like a YouTube dinosaur now. I've been on the platform making videos since 2012, late 2012, which is now, you know, creeping up to a decade. Which is a long time to be doing anything. But I think what keeps me coming back and keeps me here is that connection. It's the feeling that I get of satisfaction knowing that some way or another, these thoughts, these words that I'm sharing with you may actually add value to your life in some way or another. And then also the things that you share with me add value to my life, especially with this whole process of like renovating this property. You know, there's so many things that I don't know that I'm about to embark on, and there are people out there watching this who have experience and have knowledge that can be shared with me, and I think that is the most beneficial thing. So I don't know where I'm going with this as I sit here staring at the wall, cutting holes into my wall and plastering stuff, but I wanted to share that. Filling this giant crack. I don't know, sometimes in life you have to create a bigger problem, like this giant crack in the wall, in order to fix it. And it's counterintuitive, but it's actually the way that it has to go down in order to make it better. And that's definitely the case with cracks in drywall, but it's also the case in life. Hello, Ducky. Who are you, Frida or Diego? It's okay. This is pretty cool. It's definitely a first. We haven't had Frida and Diego this close. Usually they, they're either down in the pond or in the other pond, and they kind of walk back and forth between the two all day. But I think because I just recently mowed the lawn, there are a lot of, more accessible bugs. So they're up here in the backyard, and then I think they just heard me in here and decided to come say hello. So Frida and Diego, these ducks who live in the pond, are out front. So we're gonna try to introduce Waddles to them and see what happens. All with the hope of them all becoming friends, and then Frida and Diego taking over as adopting duck parents for little Waddles. All right, friends. Well, it's been a long day. It's been a long week, and we're getting closer to the weekend, which is when I publish my videos. And I'm coming to the conclusion, being realistic with myself, and I've found in life that being realistic with yourself is oftentimes difficult, but it's always worthwhile. And what I'm coming to the conclusion of is that I am not going to be able to finish painting that room before our buddy comes to visit. We have a friend coming to stay with us for the next couple of days. Then we have a birthday party for another friend over the weekend. And then the beginning of next week, we've got meetings lined up, and we also have a function that we're attending. So there's just a lot on there's a lot on the plate. And I'm realizing I'm not going to be able to bring you all along in this video to the point where I finish painting the living room and have time to edit it and get it live. So I guess what I'm saying is this is the end of today's video. This is the end of this week's video. And unfortunately, we won't be able to have the big reveal of the living room. We're gonna have to save that until next weekend. But I promise, when we reveal that living room, it's gonna be good. And it's gonna feel good because it's been a long time coming to get into that room and to finish it all off. So I just wanted to say another heartfelt thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit kind of cobbled together, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in this weird and wild ride called life. Hopefully the duck content was enjoyable for you. It was fun to film. It feels nice to look out and see a mowed lawn, even though it's by no means perfect, but it's better than the jungle, which it was. And yeah, just continuing to live and learn and take every day as it comes. So on that note, we'll call it an evening, we'll call it a week, and we will see you very shortly in next weekend's episode. All right, have a great one. Peace.